This is Arsenette from Rambling Rican, back with the episode 2 of Videogame Hangout. I am here with Don and William, and just double checking what we've been doing since our first little episode. William, I guess you can start first with how's your past month gone?
Well, yeah, so I played this game called Mario Odyssey. You might have heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
I have since 100% that game. And
wow.
Yeah. It's the only game I played this month. Because Mario Odyssey is absolutely fantastic.
Cool. We'll go in more depth a little bit for a second. I just want to double check. Don, you've been, although it's kind of cheating since I start what it is that you do. How's your month been?
Not too much game-wise. Working still a little bit on the Final Fantasy XII HD remake, which is a lot of fun and really helps my eyes not want to jump out of my head when I hooked up my old PS2 to a 55-inch Sony. That was a bad plan.
Yeah.
The other thing would be the most current season of Diablo 3. So nothing really new right now. Just kind of tried and true things to kill time when I feel like gaming.
And the only thing I've been doing is crossing animals. I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing since it came out for mobile. I'll just say mobile because it's available on everything. So it came out not long after our last podcast. So, yeah. So, William, you can take over. How's Mario Odyssey?
Here we go, off the rails. Don't you know it's time to raise our sails. Mario Odyssey is a sheer joy to play. It is everything that I get. Okay, I guess. So hey, you know Super Mario 64?
Yes.
You know, ever wish that Nintendo made a new game that was like Super Mario 64 but like bigger and better?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's Mario Odyssey.
Okay. This is actually good because I actually like 64.
Yeah, so Super Mario Odyssey is like I said last month, its design philosophy is in a similar mindset with what Nintendo did with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, in that they're taking the formula and they're changing things up while keeping things familiar. Mario Odyssey is much more open-ended, open world, I guess, but without a lot of the open world tropes, so to speak. In that there's still levels. You still go level to level, like we do it in a Mario game. But you have these big maps, not too big, but big maps, where you have to collect moons. And basically, the plot is that, hey, Bowser kidnapped Peach yet again, but this time plans.
No.
I know, and also kidnapped a female resident of what is known as the Cap Kingdom, to be the wedding tiara for Princess Peach, because Bowser's getting married to Peach, according to Bowser at least. And so Mario ends up getting defeated by Bowser in the opening cutscene. Like, you start the game, boom, Mario's defeated. And he's resurrected by Cappy, who's the brother of the kidnapped headpiece. And he becomes your new hat. And Mario's the hat is the new ability for the game, and it offers so much possibilities in terms of movement, because you can throw out your hat and then in midair dive to the hat, bounce off the hat, and give you even more distance. It gives you there's a lot of things that you can do. You can throw the hat in different directions, and you can use it to grab certain items, and of course you have the capture ability, which is not possession, it's capture. It's totally different. Totally a different thing.
Absolutely.
Not the same thing.
So So basically, Mario died, and so we're basically playing as Cappy because he just commandeered Mario's dead body.
Oh yeah, Mario became Dark Souls more or less because, in more ways than one, because there's no more live system in this Mario game because it wouldn't make sense anymore because there's no checkpoints. It's not a linear.
Because he's dead.
Yeah, because he's a zombie.
Yeah.
His zombie Mario.
Instead, if you lose all your health, you lose 10 coins. And if you're able to, you can actually go back to that spot and try to reclaim the coins that you lost. Similar to Dark Souls.
Oh, okay.
Now this is a big
Dark
deal because coins actually matter in this game. There's an actual currency in a Mario game. And every world has two currencies, gold coins and purple coins. Purple coins are exclusive to whatever world you're in, and use it to buy costumes and other stuff. And the costumes, they don't give you any sort of special abilities, which I think is a good thing because it's purely cosmetic, and there's a lot of costumes by the end of the game, and some really, I guess, stuff you wouldn't expect from a Nintendo game, and some stuff that is referencing some very obscure stuff in Mario's history, including like some ads that he was in, like not even games, like ads he appeared in, and
so just a bunch of Easter eggs.
There's a lot of reference. There's a lot. I guess Mario Odyssey exists the way it does because it essentially built on Mario's 30+ year legacy.
Okay.
There's so much elements from the other Mario games in this game. You don't need to know all of it to enjoy it, but it helps. And yeah, there's a lot of Easter eggs.
Are there any 8-foot Goombas with tiny little heads?
There's not, but a certain former rival of Mario from his very first game might appear in this game at some point. Also, I think Nintendo knows its audience pretty well when designing this game because, like, they knew that people really wanted to play the dinosaur, the T-Rex. You know what's the first level in the game? Is the Cascade Kingdom. You know who's in the Cascade Kingdom? The T-Rex. He's one of the first things you take over. And let me tell you, playing as a T-Rex in a Mario game is awesome. It is so cool to run around and just trample and destroy your enemies.
So you just turn into Wreck-It Ralph.
In a way, yeah. Yeah. Also, the game also has these 2D sections where you'll go into a 8-bit pipe and Mario appears in the wall as an 8-bit sprite, and all of a sudden you're playing the original Super Mario Brothers. But what's really cool is that these are 2D levels on a 3D plane. So, like, you'll go around the corner of like a 3D block and something like that, and it does a lot of cool things with like 2D Mario that they haven't really done before.
Did they have something like that with Toad?
They did a Captain Toad.
Toad's Adventure.
They did a Captain Toad for the Wii U that was different. Is that what you're referring to?
Was it? Yeah, like using that mechanic.
That was probably not the way you're thinking, because that was still a 3D game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how did you play this one? Predominantly on the TV or predominantly mobile?
Predominantly on the TV, which is how I play most of my Switch games. I played it handheld. It plays perfectly fine on the handheld. The game uses motion stuff, but like it's entirely optional.
Okay.
I think. So I guess if you consider the number of moons a spoiler, cover your ears for like 10 seconds. So there's 883 moons in this game, and I think of that many, only 5 of them absolutely require motion control. So that's a pretty low percentage. Also, like the music is great, and the one song that everyone knows before the game launched was "Jump Up Superstar." And that's in the Metro Kingdom. And I think Nintendo knew that was going to be a big deal. And so I'm playing through this game, and I find myself going, where's the Metro Kingdom? Where's the Metro Kingdom? Because the levels come in a certain order. You have to get a certain number of moons in order to unlock the next level. And
Right.
and I'm just like, where's the metro level? Where's the metro level? And then finally it appears, but then they do something just to mess with you. And that's all I'll say. And then I guess you finally get to the Metro Kingdom. The Metro Kingdom's fantastic. It's my favorite kingdom. And at this point, I'm playing the level. I'm just like, I want to get to the song, because the song's in the game. It's one of the things that they've been kind of previewing, is that you have to get to the concert of the Metro Kingdom. And I thought what it was going to be, it was just going to be like a cutscene with with a nice song that was being sung. Oh no, that's too simple for Nintendo. What they actually did was really, I'm not going to say what they did at this point, but what they did do was just fantastic. And it gets even cooler. Like, all the different capture abilities, some of them have like really cool abilities. I'm not going to say the name of the level, but there's this one level that is literally just designed like based on feudal Japan architecture.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like Mario got very Japanese at one point in this game. And you play, and one of the enemies that you can capture are these birds that like shoot their beaks out like a sword. Mm-hmm. And what you can do is you can jump, put your nose into something that is made of soft material, like a wood or something like that, and you can use it to flick yourself to jump higher. And so it turns into this form of vertical platforming at points. That's really cool.
Just like boing,
yeah,
boing.
basically,
yeah, like
yeah,
yeah. I know what you're talking. Like the
you're
flicking
essentially
part.
you're essentially turning yourself into like a slingshot in a way.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, it's just the ending sequence. I'm not going to spoil it, but like what they do at the end of the main game is like the one thing you wanted them to do, and they do it, and it's great. And this basically turns into an anime at one point. And you can...
How many hours did it take?
You can beat the game in like 10 hours.
Oh, wow.
Because
okay,
you actually...
trying to get all the...
Yeah, because you actually don't need that many moons. But if you stop there, you are missing a enormous amount of game. Because so much more is unlocked post-credits. That
Okay.
It's basically it's almost a second game at that point, with like the amount of stuff that you unlock. And so
the game plus.
Yeah, there's essentially 4 stopping points in this game. And the one I went for, which was the highest one, which is get 999 moons. Because you can buy moons infinitely after you beat the credits, after you get the credits. And so I'm like, well, I'm gonna max this out. I'm gonna get all the gold coins that I can get, and I'm maxing that thing out, and I did. And honestly, like, the rewards that you get for getting all the moons, they're not the greatest. But for me, it wasn't. I didn't do it because I wanted some sort of great reward. I did it because I wanted to keep playing the game.
But that's actually a good indication of a great game.
Absolutely, and that's what Mario is. Mario's a great game. And I feel really bad for the Zelda team because the Game of the Game of the Year awards is coming soon for like all these different publications. And if this was any other year, Zelda probably would have had a really good shot. But Mario is just so utterly fantastic that I think it's going to win a lot of the awards that Zelda would have won otherwise. And
which one sold more?
Right now it's Zelda, but that's just because it's been out longer.
Okay.
I know Mario sold over 2 million in 3 days, which is the fastest debut for a Mario game ever. So that's a good start. But yeah, Nintendo, from both a volume and quality standpoint, this is like one of the best like console launches Nintendo's ever done, as I've mentioned, last month. And yeah, they're doing everything they're doing with the Switch from a game standpoint. They've been doing right. And so I'm happy to hear stuff when you hear stuff like, oh, it's on track to surpass the Wii U in less than a year. And that's in terms of lifetime sales. And that's sort of the thing that...
Anything is better than what happened to the Wii U. That just about sunk the company.
I wouldn't say it didn't do that much damage to Nintendo just because they had so much money in the bank, so to speak. They had backup money.
Well, that's for the 3DS, yeah.
And the Wii and the DS, and they have money, but the Wii U was a big problem, and so I'll just end it on this. At some point when playing the game, I was thinking to myself, hey, you know what's really great about Mario Odyssey? I bought this game, and there's no microtransactions, there's no season pass, and you don't even need any of the amiibos to unlock stuff. There's costumes that you can unlock early with amiibos, but you don't need them. You can unlock them eventually, and I did, and it's perfectly fine. And I don't have to spend any more money on this game, and it's utterly fantastic.
That's fantastic. I'm happy about that.
That's the way you should do it.
Yeah.
Leave that, first of all, and not to quite literally beat the dead horse that is EA at this point, but when you do any kind of microtransactions, if it messes with gameplay at all,
Progression.
to me that's a foul. It's got to be cosmetic things only, because when you do that, people are more want to spend money on it because there's no allegations of cheating, there's no hurt feelings, there's none of the usual nonsense you get. And I know Mario's a single player, but the microtransaction deal has been predominantly a multiplayer thing. But there's none of that. It's just, hey, that's a really cool outfit. Where can I get it? Oh, well, you can go spend $3.99 at the Nintendo store, or you can just do this in game to get it. That's the right way to do things.
Yeah.
Well, it incentivizes people to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy. You play the game to unlock cool stuff. Such a weird concept.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Man, according to EA, people just don't want to buy single-player games anymore, which is weird because I could have sworn there was all these single-player games that sold really well this year or something. I guess things like, Horizon Zero Dawn and Persona and Nier and Cuphead and all of those other games, I guess just none of them happened,
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
Using something out of their own catalog, the Mass Effect series.
No, man,
Because
that didn't happen.
Mass Effect 1 didn't sell any copies.
No.
None whatsoever.
Actually, they probably do want you to forget about Andromeda now that I think about it. That was this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they probably do. That was, wow. The sad part is sitting on the sidelines because, not to divert the topic, and I apologize if
that's
I am,
fine.
but having been a BioWare fan for a lot of years, and then playing Mass Effect now 10 years ago, I thought, wow, they finally did a good space RPG. It's a true RPG. Then they get bought by EA, which was the death knell in my book, which I didn't realize how bad it was going to be until things progressed. So Mass Effect 2 comes out 4 years later, somewhere along those lines. And they begin rewriting lore to turn it into more of a shooter than an RPG and getting rid of a lot of the RPG elements. So it's kind of this strange hybrid, but the story was so good you kept with it because it was just extremely well written. And it was a fun game. And for people that have not played it, and I do still absolutely recommend the Mass Effect series, except for the last 10 minutes, you're really going to need to hold your nose on that one. But
Literally the last 10 minutes.
in the first game, ammo was unlimited. And the lore of the game, which BioWare put a tremendous amount of time into, is that they've perfected microfactoring. So what happens is they load a block of material into a weapon. I think one of them was tungsten, and there's some other metals that can be used. And it shaves these microscopic pieces off it inside the weapon, and that's where your ammunition is. And they said essentially the rounds are so small that that block will last for a ridiculously long time. And it's the whole point of the Mass Effect fields that are applied to the projectile that give it its stopping power, penetrating power, whatever. So the only thing you had to manage was heat. And that was done by tapping, I think it was the left shoulder button on, at that point, the Xbox, or Xbox 360. And it would allow the weapon to vent, basically, and blow off steam and cool down, and then you could fire again, and then different weapons would build up heat at different rates. So there was never an ammunition. It was almost just like kind of an extended reload. In Mass Effect 2, they introduced thermal clips. And I'm like, thermal clip. Okay, so the theory behind it that was written in was like, well, kind of like a heat sink. Now, I've built a lot of computers in my lifetime. At now 46 years old, quite a few computers. Heat sinks are great. They're great for moving heat away from critical components, but the problem with it is that's not the only thing that gets hot. That's just the hottest thing in the box. So if you could eject a heatsink and put a new one in, you'd get a minor temperature reduction, but if you're just generating tremendous amounts of heat over and over and over, no amount of thermal clips are going to cool that weapon down, and eventually, and anybody that's ever fired a weapon in their life knows that barrels get hot when you shoot things. And when barrels get hot, they start to change their shape, which changes the aim of the weapon. So, again, it's a game. It's supposed to be fantasy, but that just broke the immersion for me. Like, no, this is not going to work. This is because EA's decided this needs to look more like Call of Duty.
Between Mass Effect 2 and 3 was Dragon Age.
The second Dragon Age game.
So that was the one that EA was had taken over.
Correct.
So
the first Dragon Age game was excellent. The second one, not so much.
So it was like slowly but surely, we're like, oh. And then by that point, they shut down, what was it, 2 companies by that point. William, what's the latest one that they closed? What was that, Visceral?
That would be Visceral. And they,
right.
Oh, by the way, they just bought Respawn, a company whose game last year they published conveniently around the same time as their Battlefield game, which hurt sales of Titanfall 2, which caused the company's value to decrease. Huh.
Now, do you remember what Respawn was?
Respawn was the Infinity War guys.
Yep.
Right.
That was rudely destroyed by Activision. So it's like...
I remember that story, yeah.
Oh god, yeah. Where you had the police come in.
Literally had the police to kick the creators of Infinity Ward out.
Yeah, and change the locks right in front of them. Yeah.
But I mean, back to the whole Mass Effect thing. So that's kind of what happened with that. But these were... And Mass Effect 3 is the only one that added multiplayer. And that's kind of where I was going with this whole thing. And the multiplayer initially in Mass Effect 3 was actually fun.
Yeah.
Provided you had friends to play with, because, pardon me, in the tried and true fashion of any online shooter, you're going to have to deal with the 13-year-old squeakers. It's just the reality. Their internal battle cry of your mom every time they do anything does get a little bit old to an adult. So the multiplayer was a lot of fun because of the way it played, and there were no microtransactions at this point in time. The only thing there were microtransactions in any way, shape, or form was for uniforms, and they were usually part of a DLC pack. So here's a series of single-player games up till the actual multiplayer that sold tremendous amounts of copies and created this massive, rabid fan base that went ballistic when the third one ended. But that's another issue for another show. So their entire statement that nobody wants to play single-player games anymore just doesn't stand up to the facts.
Not to mention, they're making it sound like only multiplayer games, like, if you make a multiplayer game, it's going to sell well. It's like, I'm sorry, have you heard of a game called Lawbreakers?
Yeah, I heard of it.
Yeah. Do you know, God, people have been following because on Steam you can follow how many people are playing a game.
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
This is
concurrent.
Like relatively soon after launch, like maybe let's say 2 months. There was a point where there was literally 0 people playing this brand new multiplayer game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or let's see. How about a game called Battleborn? You know, how about
I often beta tested that.
Oh well,
it was not a lot of fun.
Ooh, okay, well, apparently a lot of people agree because that got their butts thoroughly kicked by Overwatch. And that's the thing. Not everything can be Overwatch. Not everything can be Call of Duty because people have only so much time when it comes to playing multiplayer games. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the visceral one, I think really annoys me because they were working on a single player Star Wars game that was being written by Amy Hennig of Uncharted fame.
That was going to be good.
And when you hear stuff like an EA exec asking how is this going to sell FIFA numbers, it's like, I'm sorry, but like what?
It's not. Get over it.
But that's the point.
Not every game sells like FIFA sells.
Like you can't.
It's literally comparing apples to oranges.
It's like you're literally asking for all the money from all the games that you publish, and that's not a healthy business plan because
Uncharted sold well.
Uncharted
so
sold
it's not
very
even,
well.
Yeah, so it's even.
But Uncharted is not being marketed to the Madden crowd. Because you've got gamers that play Madden, and then you've got the Madden crowd.
But we were having
that
that
play
conversation.
it because it's football, and that's it. They don't care about anything else. It's football.
It's not even that. It's the thing that they're paying attention to. It's not necessarily that fan base. It's the whales.
Yeah, I think they got a little taste of what goes on in the mobile market, and in standard EA fashion, the word micro is more of just a marketing term. It doesn't actually have any real meaning.
Macro transactions.
Yeah, more like transactions, bigger, faster, and as much as we can get them. A great example is Star Wars Galaxies, which I've spoken about before. It's a mobile game. It's fun in its way. It is free to play. But so characters in the game are rated in strength on a level of stars, and then you have character level. But the stars are what really drive the power of the character, that really increase their stats. I should boot it up right now just for a really recent example, but a great example of this is you could pay $59.95 for the Luke Skywalker pack, in which you will get a 5-star Luke Skywalker and all the materials to upgrade him.
Jesus Christ.
Wait a minute. I'm going to pay $60 for one character that isn't maxed out? I wouldn't pay $5. Forget $60.
And because of how these things are set up, is you would go in to fight something, basically fight another player, and you have no idea what level they are until all of a sudden there's like,
no,
great,
you do, because there's power ratings for the teams.
Yeah, but still, you ended up getting stuck with against whales over again.
And what I used to call it is a pod of whales would swim through. So you'd get on whatever shard I happened to be on at the time, 20 or 30 people, and their names would stick in your head because you would just get absolutely wrecked. Because they're getting characters. A good example is they released Emperor Palpatine a little while back, and it was out 2 days, and somebody had it 7-starred, completely upgraded. I think level 10 was the highest upgrade in 48 hours. There's only one way that happens. Somebody dropped $300 to $400 to upgrade Palpatine.
That's just.
But wasn't there? Yeah. I think didn't you link the last time in our where somebody spent $12,000 on a single?
Jesus Christ!
What was that? Oh. Yeah, that was Overwatch. Somebody spent $12,000 on Overwatch.
Now, the one thing I'll say for Overwatch, firstly, that's insane.
Yeah.
But the one thing I will say for Overwatch is all they're getting are costumes and pretty things and emotes. It's not affecting gameplay.
Yeah.
I will.
Whereas in, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'll say this in just in regards to that. I don't like loot boxes even for cosmetic purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just based on personal experiences where there just came a point where I guess. Okay, really quick story. I used to play Puzzle and Dragons on my phone.
Yeah. Yep, me too. Yes.
And I was saving up all my what are they called? Power Stones? Let's just say Power Stones. I was saving up all my Power Stones for like a special event, and they were having a Bleach event where you can get the Bleach characters as your monsters. And
Right.
like here's the thing. Bleach might have gone off the deep end, but I still like the characters. And
Yeah.
I spent $0, but I had so many stones stocked up, and it was like all I needed was Ichigo left. I never got him, and then at that point, and that's when the realization came in, like, this isn't fun anymore. I'm not spending money for a chance to get Ichigo because I don't know what the odds are. And
I think that's why I don't like what was it, the gachapon?
Yeah, the whole gachapon system. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't stand the gachapon system. I would be one of those where I would just buy the freaking box and sell off the rest of the stuff that I have doubles and triples of.
Well, and that does happen. Some of the J vloggers that we watch belong to different communities on the internet when they're doing different gacha things. Like Gudetama was a really big deal. I don't know if it still is.
It still is.
But they would go and post, I have this one and that one and that one. Does anybody want to trade? So, if you're doing that, I guess that's a little better. But I just, like, the whole blind box theory, not for me.
No.
Now, if you can earn that in-game with in-game currency that you earn in-game, I don't care if that takes a while because I'm playing the game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, for me, I mean, we mentioned the whole Star Wars Battlefront thing and EA and stuff. What they did was essentially, and the fallout was like, I saw a perfect analogy is that they're essentially Icarus flying too close to the sun.
Yes.
And the
got
fact,
too greedy.
yeah, and the fact that there are now like governments around the world who are like looking into this stuff, and the fact that they might single-handedly ruin it for everyone is an amazing situation.
Which is why you had, was it Bob Iger from Disney, just sitting down the head of EA?
Yeah, when the head of Disney calls the head of EA and says, "Hey, need to chat." That means it's about to hit the fan.
Why is Facebook passing around this image that Disney endorses gambling for children?
Yeah.
Well, because effectively you own the license and you allowed this.
Yeah.
You were asleep at the switch. Sorry, that's the way it's going to be perceived, whether it's the truth or not.
Yeah. Although it's a temporary thing, so Lord knows how much how big it's going to be when they finally bring that back.
This I loved. When the statement came out from EA, and remember, I work for a very large corporation, so I hear a lot of marketing BS on a regular basis.
Oh, it was
We're guilty of it too. So I hear the comment as, we're going to turn off all microtransactions. And I waited for it. I was like, here it comes. Until, I'm like, there it is. There it is. Until we've got it balanced properly. Which is marketing for, we're turning off the microtransactions because our rear ends are now on fire thanks to the internet. So we've got to wait till this all blows over and somebody else screws up, and then we'll turn it back on. And boy, are we going to stick it to you when that happens, but you won't see it because we'll completely redo the system so nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah, well.
This is about the only time where the supposed internet rage actually did translate to them not getting as much money as they thought they were going to.
Yeah, that was interesting. It's about time that people that whine on the internet actually put their money where their complaint is.
Because
which
usually
is back in their
it doesn't.
pocket.
Because that's why people are doing all of the, everything has microtransactions, yada, yada, yada. Because people love to complain, but, I'm going to hate it, but I'm going to get it anyway. Then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, then your voice means nothing. Because corporations don't care what your opinion is. And guys, I've said it before and I'll continue to say it. They don't care if they have your dollars.
Yeah.
Or yen or wherever you happen to live. If you want to get a corporation's attention, you need to hit them in the wallet. Then they'll start paying attention. That's just the way business works.
And
I've
they
been
did
boycotting EA.
And they did in the form of 60% less sales than Battlefield 1. So
yes, this time around, gamers figured it out. Well done.
Well,
that's how you do it.
Well,
Sorta.
On one hand,
Hey,
it's,
baby steps, baby steps.
It's it's EA, which is like the easiest company to hate in terms of video games. These are
no. They're the worst video game company in America because Ubisoft is in France.
Okay. I mean, look, Ubisoft has its issues, but I cannot see it being worse than EA at this point in time.
at this point.
Yeah,
in time,
at this point, I think EA has finally done it.
Hold
well
my beer.
played. Yeah.
Hold my beer. Let me
EA
tell you how
finally
it's
did the hold
actually
my
done.
beer. So.
EA has
Wow.
earned back its title of worst company in America when that tournament happens again. So
either way.
how's Animal Crossing, Arsenette?
Animal Crossing is actually exactly what I had expected and more. I'm quite happy about it. I mean, it is not. If anything, everybody's now screaming for a mainline Switch version of Animal Crossing.
That's totally
They
happening.
did this well. They did well. They did very, very well with this.
There's no way a mainline game will not come out after this.
To give you an idea, Don's playing this game.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes, Don's playing this game.
Nothing blows up. There's no assassinations. There's no stealth kills, yet I'm playing it.
You've played other games like this. Give me a break.
Not for long.
But he's played. But I like it because I haven't spent a single dime, but you could if you wanted to. And some people are doing it on principle, where they're supporting Nintendo, going, "All right, this was good. This is how you do it." There's no energy system, so it's not like you can't play anymore. I mean, I could literally be sitting there fishing all freaking day. I'd have to move zone to just kind of refresh the area.
The only thing that's close to an energy system is when it comes to fruit with the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Where
That's every
after
3
you
hours.
harvest, it's a 3-hour cooldown. But there was something similar to that in the mainline games. You couldn't just harvest fruit.
That was 6 hours.
That's what I mean. You didn't just harvest fruit over and over and over and over. So that is consistent with the lore of Animal Crossing.
They also implemented, you can tie it to your Nintendo account, and you have the way this is basically glorified fetch system. The animals will ask for 3 separate types of items. It could be, hey, give me 3 butterflies. The next request would be, give me these 3 types of fruit. Give me, that sort of thing. And it'll do that over time, and then it will stop, and you would have to wait until they come back, or they give you like little cards or whatever. And because it's tied to the Nintendo account, it tracks how many of them you do, and weekly they'll give you points, so then you can convert it back into whatever items that you need to continue on. So it's a nice little perk system. The other thing as well is, because it saves it that way, it also saves your progress. So in the event, because it is still fairly new and it is a mobile game, it will crash every once in a while. It'll still remember what you did because it sent it back to the server. So you don't lose any items. And more importantly, I can switch between my phone and my iPad at will. I just can't do it at the same time. But if all of a sudden I'm on my phone, I can play it on my phone, and then all of a sudden go to my iPad, I can play it on my iPad with 0 issues. So I like the idea of the portability of being able to take it to any device that I want. So they did a very, very good job. In fact, just today they added 4 new animals and added the Christmas thingy. I think Christmas thingy was 3-4 days ago?
About that, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
One thing of note, I can't speak to Android on this because the only Android device I have is for work, and there's no games on that. But if you run iOS, you need iOS 10 to run this at a minimum. We're on the latest release. I think it's 11.2 or 0.3. Runs fine, no issues.
Yeah, I know I think the only iPads that play it are the Air 2s and the current iPad. Anything earlier than that doesn't run 10.
Yeah, if it's not going to run 10, it's not going to run the game.
And phones earlier than 5 won't. Actually, 5 won't even be able to play it. So, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a lot. I play it often, and if anything, it makes it. Everybody already knows that they're working on a Switch version, and nothing else can change their ideas on that. It's great. It's exactly what I remember, and the things that they added to it were awesome. So I'm enjoying it very, very much.
Yeah, good to hear. Good to hear.
Yeah.
There was one other news item I wanted to bring up. If you had nothing else you wanted to say.
Nope. I just had a couple of viewer comments, and that's it.
Okay. Hey, Megaman's back! Yay! Mega Man 11 just got announced literally yesterday as of when we're recording. If you looked on Twitter, I totally called it. I just want to point that out. Because I was watching the pre-stream, because they did a stream and a pre-stream. They did like an hour-long pre-stream with like a game show and a little concert. And I'm watching this, and it was a lot of trivia. Most of the trivia questions was classic Mega Man, and I'm just like, Capcom's done a lot of stupid things. There's no way they're this stupid where the game that they're going to announce is just a tie-in game to that Mega Man cartoon that's coming out sometime next year. It's like that can't be what this is. It's got to be 11 or something similar. And it turns out, yeah, it's Mega Man 11. And, I like the fact they're trying something new with the art direction. And
yeah, I saw it.
And it looks like it's still pretty early in development. It's supposed to come out late next year, and it looks like they're just gonna try new things with the classic Mega Man style. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that looked really good. I was very impressed.
By comparison, yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny because we don't normally follow that. We end up watching Max's stream, Maximilian dude.
Yeah.
And so he did, like a short version of the reveal. Like he chops it down as opposed to the entire time, because he was obviously he streams.
Well, he had the same take you did, William, in that he thought for sure it was just going to be some mobile knockoff game to help push the new animation.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah, I actually saw the highlights, that particular highlight video of his, so I know what you're referring to. But it's like, I know a lot of people were joking, like, oh, prepare to be disappointed and all that. It's like, Capcom sometimes does good things, and so I had a feeling this was going to be one of them. So,
Did you see? Well, obviously you saw the whole thing, but I thought it was funny because earlier on you saw they had 8 different games per year, and then all of a sudden you get to
oh my god, yeah,
there was this the
drought,
dudes just running past. It was 10 years.
2010 was Mega Man 10. And then from that point to now, there was one game, Mega Man Crossovers, which was a poorly reviewed iOS game. But
it was just you just had the little Mega Man just running right past all that, and just the numbers are just streaming really, really fast. Nope, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here.
That was so sad. What's really sad was the 2 games that were supposed to be in during that timeline that got canceled. Mega Man Unlimited and Mega Man Legends. Mega Man Legends 3.
Okay, Legends. Okay. Is that what the one that he kept saying? Legends or Stars or something like that?
Well, there's a Star Force. No, Mega Man.
Announce it and then cancel it. Just announce it and then cancel it.
Mega Man Legends is the one. Mega Man Legends 3 is the one that he's announcing and then cancel it. Basically, for those of you who don't know, Mega Man Legends 2 ended on a cliffhanger.
Oh.
And Mega Man Legends 3 was announced at one point before it was announced for the 3DS. And this was before the 3DS launch, so this was a while ago. Wow. And what the original plan is Capcom said, we're going to release what is going to be known as a prototype version of Mega Man Legends 3 for $5. It's essentially a paid demo. But they said they were going to use it to gauge interest to see if we could, if people would want to buy Mega Man Legends 3. Because, the Mega Man Legends games, they weren't the best-selling Mega Man games. And so when I bought my 3DS at launch, which in hindsight I do kind of regret doing, but that's a different story. I was fully prepared. I'm like, all right, the first downloadable game I'm going to buy is going to be that prototype for Mega Man Legends 3 because I want this game to happen. And Capcom never released the prototype, and they canceled the game before we even got a chance to prove that we wanted the game. And then they blamed lack of community support for the reason of canceling the game. So it's yeah, great.
Thanks, Capcom.
Yeah. So Mega Man's still stuck on the moon, guys. There's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll throw an Easter egg in 11.
Nah, they probably won't.
That Mega Man came from the moon.
Sorry, that's a Destiny 1 reference.
Mega Man. It was. By the way, how come there has never been a Paper Man in Mega Man games? Considering in Japan he's known as Rockman, you would be his toughest opponent.
Yeah, Scissor Man's in there, isn't he?
Cutman, which is basically
Cutman.
a giant pair of scissors. Yeah.
Right.
How is there no a paper man? It seems obvious.
Yeah, you would think.
Yeah.
That'd be a hell of a battle.
Yeah.
I guess all of a sudden they stop. It's like rock paper scissors.
Yeah.
The joke is right there.
Exactly. Come on.
Look, it writes itself.
And Japan loves rock paper scissors, so it's like
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh well.
Okay, last couple questions. Do you want to deal with the KianMike one because I know nothing about this?
Sure. I'm gonna do this as fast as possible.
Sure.
KianMike wants me to talk about the 2017 Nintendo World Championship. So this was an event that Nintendo held the first weekend of October, which was when I was in Italy, so I couldn't watch it live.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would have gone to it because it was in New York City. They were holding it there. So obviously I was in Italy, so like it was still pretty great. But I was slightly annoyed I couldn't go because I would have loved to have. Basically, Nintendo World Championships was something they did in the 80s. They brought it back in 2015 during E3, and they decided to do it again in 2017. Basically, what they did was that they had 24 competitors. 16 of them qualified at events around the country. Half of those 16 are 12 and under. The other half are 13 and up. And the final 8 competitors were invitees. And this included online personalities and personalities in general. One of the invitees, as KianMike brings up, was in fact Bailey from WWE. And a man named Zerk, who won the ARMS Open Invitational that Nintendo held at E3. Unfortunately for them, both of them went out in the first round. Bad, so they had a bad start. Basically, the way Nintendo World Championships works is it's a pseudo double elimination style.
Okay.
So the first 5 rounds have an above ground and an underground. They don't know what the games are ahead of time. So they'll reveal the games. Everyone starts in the above ground, but before the game starts, they'll tell you X number of people, the bottom X people will move to the underground after this game. And then the people in the underground will play a different game, and only the top 2 will move on to the next round. But they stay in the underground. Everyone else is eliminated. So basically, you want to stay in the above ground, but if you go in the underground, you got to stay in the top 2 or you're out.
So what type of games were they playing?
So, glad you asked. So for the first so again, there's 5 rounds before they get to the championship finale. Everything in the above ground was more modern. Everything in the underground was more classic. So, I'll just run through the games really quickly. So, for stage 1, I'll do the above ground games first. So for stage 1, it was a 3-game gauntlet of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, the shield sliding minigame, Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, the Home Run Derby, and Metroid Samus Returns for the 3DS, the Diggernaut Escape section. Stage 2, they played Super Smash Bros. Wii U again, but this time in more traditional battle mode. For stage 3, they played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. They did races. Stage 4 was Splatoon 2. They did capture... was a tower control, and then stage 5 was ARMS. So a lot of Switch, some Wii U, 3DS, that sort of stuff. Underground was when some of the curveballs were thrown in there. Stage 1 for Underground was Balloon Fight, the balloon trip mode of Balloon Fight.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
For the NES, yes. Stage 2 was Birds and Beans for the Nintendo DSi. They got super obscure with that one.
I don't think I've ever even heard of that one.
Yeah, most people haven't. It was originally a minigame in the original WarioWare game, and it got its own standalone, downloadable only release for the Nintendo DSi. It's a score attack arcade game, but yeah. Stage 3, the Underground, was Donkey Kong Country Returns, and it was the exact rail cart stage that I thought they were going to use. Underground Stage 4 was Tetris for the Game Boy. And I felt really bad for all of the kids who got stuck playing that because it's clear they haven't played that version before.
I love that one.
I know, but I felt so bad because it's clear they had not played that version of Tetris because I felt so bad. And the final underground stage.
I think I would still be playing it.
The final underground game was Mario Party 2, where they played a mini game gauntlet and only one person survived. That person moved back up to the championship finals along with the other two who survived the above ground, and those 3 people would compete in a 3-part finale. So the final 3 competitors was Cole G, Thomas G, and John Numbers, who is the defending champion from 2015. So John Numbers is actually a pretty good player. First game of the championship finale was Super Mario Maker. Basically, the Nintendo the Nintendo Treehouse guys made a custom stage just for them. The rules were simple. The first person to finish the stage automatically fast tracks to the final championship game. And that was won by John Numbers, so he didn't have to do the second game of the finals. So Cole G and Thomas G then had to face each other in Super Mario Bros. Deluxe for the Game Boy Color, where they had to play the Versus mode, which, if you've never played that version of Super Mario Bros., I highly recommend it. That Versus mode is fantastic. Basically they have to race each other on these various stages, but there's these blocks that you can hit that creates obstacles on your opponent's screen, but not on yours. It's really cool. And Thomas G ended up surviving. And then, surprising no one, the Super Grand Championship finale of the Nintendo World Championships was, of course, Super Mario Odyssey. They played 3 stages. The first 2...
So that actually came out before or after?
This was before.
Okay. Wow,
this was almost
cool.
Yeah. They ended up playing 3 stages. The first 2 stages got you head starts for the final stage. They ended up canceling out because they ended up going for tit for tat the first 2 rounds. Mm-hmm. What's funny is that the first 2 stages actually happened much later in the game than the final stage that they played. But the final stage was simple. They had to reach the boss and then defeat the boss. First person to defeat the boss became the Nintendo World Champion, and it was pretty neck and neck. But John Numbers made a mistake, and Thomas G was able to defeat the boss with 1 HP left.
Wow!
And became the new Nintendo World Champion. I believe online he goes by the name Ito. He doesn't have a Twitter, but yeah. It was a lot of fun. The entire show was like 4 hours long. It's a long show, but it was a lot of fun because the whole reveal of all the games were fun too, because they had like a pre-recorded announcer, and they always do like the black screen and then the big reveal what the game is, and so
yeah, it's classic Nintendo.
yeah. So it's overall a lot of fun. If you like people playing Nintendo games, then I recommend it. So
I would assume that's on the Nintendo YouTube channel.
It is on the Nintendo YouTube channel.
Yep.
So you can watch it there. So yeah, it was a thumbs up for me. I enjoyed it.
Cool. Yeah, I'd never heard anything about that. How many years has this been running?
This is, I mean, they did it twice in the 80s, and then they brought it back in 2015. So this is...
Wow.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, they did it back in the day, and then all of a sudden Nintendo was like, why don't we just bring it back? And then they did. And so they did. So yeah, Thomas ended up getting a pretty cool Mario trophy, which was presented to him by NOA head of marketing Doug Bowser. And I love the fact that Nintendo actually has an employee whose name is Bowser.
I'm positive if all of a sudden they saw the application going, yep, you're hired. I've never done, yep, you're hired.
Wait a minute. We've got somebody named Bowser in the mailroom? No. That's vice president material.
So yeah.
That's cool. Okay, and then the last question. Sorry, you're done with the recap?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just making sure. From SasukeDoctor. Do anyone do one on Stardew Valley? Please, it's a great game. I've never played it.
I've never played it either. I've heard it's a good game.
I've been meaning to do it. And what's interesting is, isn't it now on Switch?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So go get it, and then we'll do a review.
We'll see. I got a lot of games.
See, I don't know if you play those types of games.
I had Harvest Moon on the GameCube.
I played Harvest. I borrowed Harvest Moon. I don't know if it was when Blockbuster had the rentals. Mm-hmm. I think that's what it was. I couldn't do it because I don't like when time just disappears. Like if all of a sudden I just want to do this type of harvesting for 3-4 days in a row, half the year would have been gone. You know what I mean? Because there is an actual time that disappears.
Right.
Which is why I had liked Animal Crossing by comparison, because Animal Crossing, I can just do one thing over and over. If all of a sudden I just wanted to fishing or whatever, it's a lot simpler and obviously. But it's just, I don't know. This one looks a little bit different. It's sort of like a better version of Minecraft, because I can never play Minecraft because I can never get past the graphics. Like I can't, which is the reason why I ended up getting what was that, Dragon Quest Builders?
Dragon Quest Builders, yeah.
Yeah, because they're fully fledged characters as opposed to here's 2 blocks and have them move. I just couldn't do that. I don't know. And this one's a little bit better. So I don't know. I don't know if you have that kind of freedom or not. I'm sure I'll get yelled at. Eventually, I have it on my list. So eventually, I will end up getting it probably on Steam, but I haven't yet since I've been, doing less and less gaming lately. Haven't been feeling all that well. But yeah, okay. Neither of us have played it. Dawn said never played it either. So okay, so that's the end of episode 2. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube as Arsenette, ARSENETTE. My website is ramblingregan.com and ramblingregan on Instagram. William, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at 2D2Will, and you can find me on YouTube at 222 Productions. And yeah, that's it.
Dom?
You can find me on Twitter at Domnal, DOMNHAL.
Okay. Thank you all for listening, and depending on how next month feels like, because we're going into the new year, I'll see you then. Thanks for listening.